Hello guys again, and welcome to the third video of my makeup routine for drag. If you haven't seen the first two, the first one is how I cover my brows and the process I go through. It might not be the same that works for you, but this is what I do and works on my face. The second one will be how I achieve this foundation with the highlights and contours and creams, so you guys know what I do before I start applying anything else on my face as of shadows and actual powder contours. So this is what we're going for right now. I set already my face and remove all the excess of translucent powder. But before we hop on into the next steps of my makeup, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like, share, and leave comments down below as to what you think about my makeup routine and if you think I should do something different here and there. Again, I'm not saying that this is the correct way of doing everything, but this is what works on me. I always encourage my friends to try different techniques on their face and see what works best for what they're looking for. This is what works for me, and I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you guys like it, and if you are enjoying this so far, please leave your comments down below. I love reading your comments and your encouragement words, and just keep on watching. So now we're gonna hop on into my eyes. As you noticed already, I did my brows, covered them, my natural brow, and did my foundation, but I still haven't drawn any new brows. Why? Because my process kind of works in a different way. I like doing everything and my brows last, believe it or not. So this is what I go through to become Rochelle Ravenwolf. And what I'm gonna do now, before I start on my eye area, I'm gonna put some security powder, and also to help brighten up a little bit more the under eye area. And I'm gonna use this tinted that you see. I'm already almost running out of it, but I ordered a new one. Tinted powder, pressed powder, but it's very it has a lot of color to it, so I like to use it because it highlights a little bit more already the under eye area. And also I like to have some powder under my eye area and on my highlights to just cover any fallout and be able to take it out easily. Okay, so now what we're gonna do in all those highlight points, I'm gonna apply this base powder. It's kind of like a foundation powder with a lot of pigments all over my highlight areas, focusing on my under eye, because any fallout from the shadows I want to be able to remove easily without staining my actual foundation. So we're gonna apply in all the highlight points. Again, focusing on in the under eye area. We're gonna keep this closed because we're gonna keep using it. Yes, I keep doing more and more. You can leave it there for a little while and then remove it. The only thing I would not recommend moving is this until you're done with your eyes. Now, as for eyes, I like doing something a little bit different, and this is why I don't like doing my brows first, because I like my brows to look pretty much the same, look like literal twins. So I don't like doing my brows because I might do one more higher than the other, one thicker than the other, different shape. So I like to start with my eye shape. That is gonna give me the space where I'm gonna be carving my new crease, my new eye space and shadow and everything. And then also it's gonna give me like a shape where I'm gonna literally sit the brows on top of. So it's kind of like a blueprint. So I'm gonna use Clown White foundation to carve my eye space, also because it shows the true colors of the shadows that I'm gonna be wearing, and it kind of creates the new shape that I want to do. So I'm gonna start with this, and then I'm gonna set it with any white shadow or white translucent powder on top, so it doesn't move anyway and anywhere. And then I'm gonna start doing the shadow on top of the eye. Okay guys, so now with this brush, it's kind of flat. I'm gonna be taking the white foundation. It's literally clown white. I'm gonna start applying and shaping the eye space like I want it to be shaped, and then set it with either white shadow or the white translucent powder that I used first to seal, because we want to seal this shadow, this foundation as soon as we're done, so that way we don't get those creases, those natural creases on, because we're going to create a brand new crease. So in this part, you have to be very patient and shape up carefully the new eye space that you're going to be working on, being very mindful not to overdo it. As you can see, I'm only leaving this little tip here of my brow uncovered, and then I'm going on top with this, lifting on top of my natural brow and going down. So this is going to be the new bottom part of the new brow. The rest is going to go upwards. So I'm just kind of lifting my face instantly. I'm going to do just this one eye so you guys can see the difference between the two eyes and how it's already lifting my face upwards, which you can probably already see by the shape that I drew in. Now in this part, you gotta make sure you have the outline of what you want to do, and then after you do basically the outline, then you fill out the inside of it to complete the entire eye space. Always take your time and never stop applying makeup or foundation or anything that you're doing until you feel 100% sure that that's how you want it to look like. And if you're not convinced, keep applying or correcting if you have to. Now what I'm doing here is just setting the white that I applied now on the eyelid, or the new created eyelid, and setting it with white powder or white shadow, whichever you prefer or you have at hand, just to make sure that it doesn't crease and it doesn't crack. Okay guys, so now that you see this eye, how I shaped it, now you can see why I don't do my brows first, because now I know this is my eye space and where I need to work with, or what I'm gonna have to work with. And then on top, you just have to draw a line right on top of this new eye space, and then shape the top part to match, and that's it. You already have the brow practically done. That's why, because I like to make my life easier. And I'm gonna go ahead now and I'm gonna do my other eye off camera, and then we're gonna jump into shadows. Okay guys, so now that I did both eyes, finish this eye off camera, what we're gonna start doing now is applying the shadow. But for me to apply the shadow, what I like to do is kind of like make a roadmap of where I want my crease to go, or my new crease. As you can see, my eyes are really small, so I have a really small crease right here. I like it to be higher and make my eyes look wider and bigger. Now I'm just gonna start really lightly applying the new crease that I want in my eye. And I usually start light and then start deepening slowly, because it's easier to add more. But if you need to take away, then it's almost impossible, or you have to do a lot to remove. So I prefer just to go slowly, adding even like a little bit more every time instead of having to remove. So as you can see now, I already did where I want my new crease to be. So now I'm gonna start putting more colors, blending upwards, downwards. I'm not gonna go into a lot of detail on how do I apply my shadow. I'm just kind of letting you guys know how I shape my face and my eye area. I'm gonna apply the shadows as I would normally do, and use any techniques you guys like and what works for you. This is again what works for me, and I'm gonna speed up all this process so you guys can see how I apply my makeup. What I do in one eye, I repeat on the other, because if not, I won't be able to match it, because that's me again. But if you guys can do one eye and then jump and do the other the same way you did the one before, good. I'm gonna do it and speed up the process, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Now let's jump into the actual work. I like, again, like I was saying, I like layering and putting more and more if I have to, instead of putting a lot at once and then not being able to remove it. And the trick here is applying the color, or the intense color where you need it, and then adding an intermediate color or a blending color, and then using it to blend in between the both of them to reduce or eliminate that line, or that harsh line in between the two of them. I don't know if that makes sense, but you'll see what I mean now, because I'm going to use a little bit of the color that I use at the bottom one to blend a little bit with the upwards, so it makes it easier to look more that gradient effect. And as you can see, now I'm starting to deepen the crease area with darker colors. And I'm going to keep adding more and more until I feel like it's the color or the shade that I want it to be. This is what I mean when I say don't stop applying until you feel 100% sure that that's the result you want. If you feel like you can add more, or you want to add more, um, keep doing it, and until you feel you did enough. And always, people, blend. The trick is all in the blending to make it look more natural. I mean, there's nothing natural about drag though. Now you see the difference between one eye and the other. In here, I already finished the other eye. Also, what I'm doing in one, I repeat in the other. That's why you see me um, not posting both eyes, because it's gonna be the same. And now I'm just pulling a little bit of a darker blue on the outer edge and blending it downwards into my lash line. And people always blend. Don't worry about too much of the blending in the center, because I'm going to be doing kind of like a halo eye, but in a different way. So that's why you don't see me being that careful with it, because I'm going to use the actual white that I use for the eye space to kind of clean up and then apply the shiny color on top. As you can see, I keep applying if I think it's necessary, and deepening that crease section also. And now we're gonna go into the middle part, or the not the waterline, but the inner part of the eye, and gonna apply the same shadow I use for the transition in the top, on top of the crease. I'm gonna use in that inner corner to kind of like lighten up the space, and then I'm gonna clean up with the same white like I told you guys that I use for the eyelid. And then on top of that, I'm gonna apply a grayish silvery color, which, looking at it right now, I didn't love very much. I should have used something more white so it popped a little bit more. But again, you guys can use your discretion, and you can alter these colors and use maybe greens, reds, or anything else instead of blues. This is just what I felt like doing. As you can see, it doesn't look that great. And I ended up not loving it. I don't hate it, but I didn't love it like I wanted to. I should have put some glitter or something on top. And then you go back again with the dark blue and then deepen that crease because it's gonna get ashy with the other shadows that you were applying, and you wanted to make the eye pop. Because remember, that's not your natural crease. You're making the crease, and it has to look like it's hollowed. This is something that I struggle with a lot. I keep going back and forth and adding more and more every time. So you're gonna see me going back and forth with the different sides of the eye, like the inner corner, the outer corner, the crease, and adding more because I never 100% satisfied with it. So I keep adding. Now this part is what pulls pretty much everything together. Is bringing down the colors that you use on your um, top eyelid and bring him down. And then I like putting white on my waterline because my eyes are small. And then with the same clown white that I use on the top lid, I'm going to extend that waterline all the way to my nose to kind of make it look like my eyes are bigger than what they actually are. Because, of course, my eyes are really small. And always, once you use anything with cream, set it with powder. And now I'm extending that shadow. Now what I'm gonna do is do my brow area, um, and I'm gonna use a brow pomade because for me it's easier to do. And as you can see, what I'm doing now is using that eye space as the guideline for my brow. That's why I leave it to the end because it's easier. You always want to make your life easier. Why complicate yourself? So once I do this with the brow pomade, I fill it in with that same pomade and then I use shadow to set it up because every time you apply creams, you want to set it up with powder so it doesn't go or move anywhere or smudge if that's the word you want to use. Okay guys, so after I'm done, I went off camera and I did my other brow and glue my lashes. So let's start with the contour, guys. Now this is my favorite part of all this because this brings dimension back to your face. And as you can see, I focus in the back of my cheekbones and then I drag a little bit to the front, but I try to leave the excess or the bigger amount of contour to the back of the face and the forehead and the jawline. Just slowly apply it in the same areas that you applied the cream contour. And after you apply the mid-tone, which is because I use multiple tones, I use the mid-tone and then I use a darker one. I try to leave it in the back of the cheekbone and the shin. Um, what I do is then go into blush and the rest of the face. Now this part is my absolute favorite too. The nose contour. Out of the contour parts, this is my favorite because this makes your nose look so slim. And I applied the darker shade of the contour in the under the tip of my nose to kind of lift the nose. And now, let's bring back some color to our face. And I usually go to the towards the orangey, peachy tones. Today I'm gonna go more rosy, peachy. And I like smiling and putting a little bit in the apple of my cheek and then dragging it up. Always use the contour as your guideline for your blush and right on top of it apply the blush. Or that's what works for me. So I go ahead and I go a little bit over my contours and kind of apply the remainder of the contour, I mean of the blush that's left on the brush, and a little bit on my nose too, because I like camouflaging that contour. I don't like it to look too, I don't know, too grid. And now I'm just gonna use my finger and I'm gonna apply some highlight in the tip of my nose and a little bit on the bridge. Nothing too heavy, because I don't like looking like I'm sweating like some girls do. And then using that same, I'm gonna apply some in the higher part of my cheekbone. Not all the way like some other girls do too. This is the way I like doing it. I don't like looking like I came out of the shower right now. And just the remainder I'm gonna in the higher points of my face. And last but not least, sorry, my English, lips. Okay, so when it comes to lips, I'm not a fan of glosses, believe it or not. So I'm gonna do kind of like an ombre, very bold lip. I know usually when you go to makeup school, they tell you that you have to make one of the two the focus of the face, either the lips or the eyes, but not both. But this is drag. Over exaggeration is our motto. So I'm gonna draw, put lip liner, and I'm gonna do like kind of like an ombre style, but very dark to light color. I hope you guys like it. Now this part I don't have to explain too much. We all know that in drag we overdraw our lips. I try not to do too much um, over. I try to keep it as close to my real lip as I can. And once I do the lip liner to shape the mouth like I want it, then I'm gonna apply the darker colors on the outer side of the lips, and then another liquid lipstick which is way lighter than the first one that I applied. I'm gonna apply only in the center. Not only that is gonna create that gradient ombre effect, but it's also gonna make your lips look bigger in the center and smaller on the edges, so it's gonna make them look more plumped, if you can say it. um, just pay attention to what I do, and yeah, this is pretty simple, but it's something that I love. I never use just one color and that's it. I usually mix them with other colors to create what I want it to look like. And as you can see, I'm using my fingers to blend those edges in between the two colors to make it more look more seamless in between, like it's not so harsh lines. And again, just like everything else in the face, if you feel like you need to go back and add more, um, keep adding until you're satisfied with what you're looking at. Never stop just there if you feel like you need to add more. So here is, guys, the final result with the lips, the eyes, the wig, a little bit of a little dress, you know, a cocktail dress. I didn't put any jewelry, just because this is just for the purposes of education, so you guys see how I get ready to become Rochelle Ravenwolf, you know. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This was the most extensive one of them all. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys love it. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And just leave your comments down below. I'd like to hear what you guys think of this whole makeup look and how it ended up looking. I mean, what do you guys think? Did I rock that? Love you guys.